So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, The Occult View. I'm just sitting here in my den, looking out my window at the trees, the woods, birds, just looking. I want to talk about a few things. The last time I came on, I had a bit of a cold. That has since cleared up. I don't know what, excuse me, I don't know what that shit was. But that flu that was circulating, that was something else. But I got through it because I have the immune system of a god. I didn't have to take any antibiotics or anything like that. I took some cough drops and drank a lot of tea and lemon. I did take some cough syrup, but other than that, I'm back in tip-top shape, as you all can tell. So let's get into it. Let's have a conversation about the world and just how the world is operating at this time, especially in the illusionary world of air, which is what we call the cyber world. And I'm learning more about that from a spiritual co-worker as they talk about air, fire, and that type of linguistics. Because right now they have tried to basically sabotage and neutralize earth and water. And right now we're operating on air and fire. We're operating within that linguistics. And those of us who are more water frequencies, such as myself, more water frequencies, we are kind of in a precarious position in this world right now. So let's really talk about it. Air and fire are chaos, magic. And I'm speaking in layman terms. Earth and water operate on a certain vibration. You feel what I'm saying? Earth and water operate within a certain balance, harmony, and order, whereas air and fire are chaotic. I'm not saying that air and fire can't be balanced and harmonized, but mostly air and fire are chaotic. You can just look at how fire is so destructive in the world and how it's used for destruction. Okay? So when I say that, I'm looking at again the linguistics, the actions of people in the world. Because contrary to what people may understand or believe, occultism is studying patterns, human patterns, patterns of the mind, human behavioral patterns, because everything connects back to the force that is motivating that person or that entity. We live in a world where wrong has become right and right has become wrong. And let me clarify what I mean when I say that. I am not talking about your political beliefs. I am not talking about your political affiliations. I am not talking about your fucking funky ass views about what you think a man is or what you think a man should do or if a man and a woman should be together or if a man and a man should be together. I'm not talking about none of that shit. Fuck your views, fuck your opinions. And in this instance, fuck my opinions too, because it's a bigger picture. It's a much bigger picture that I'm talking about. Now, I have not seen this with my own eyes, but allegedly, Casey Anthony, and for those of you who do not know who she is the mother who was accused of having something to do with her daughter's, um, her young daughter's unfortunate demise years ago. I think the young girl's name was Kaylee, if I'm not mistaken. Allegedly, even though Casey was not charged, and I'm assuming she wasn't charged because of, you know, the courts were not able to prove that she actually had anything to do with the unfortunate demise of that baby. Allegedly, she's back in social media and she has hundreds and thousands of subscribers or followers. And people actually listen to her. And I'm saying allegedly because I have not seen it for myself. So you mean to tell me, let me get this straight. Let me just get this straight. I don't know if she's on YouTube. I don't know if she's on X. I don't know if she's on Instagram, Instacart. I'm being facetious when I say Instacart. I don't know if she's on TikTok. But you mean to tell me that all of these institutions, all of these social media institutions that I just named, you mean to tell me that they allowed this woman to obtain all of these followers, knowing the bad press that would bring to their social media platforms? They allowed someone like that who was accused of such a heinous crime. I know they did not prove it, but I have seen YouTube censor people for doing absolutely nothing at all. I have seen YouTube blacklist people's channels who just have a difference of opinion, mine being one of them. YouTube barely allows me to get any fucking views. But you mean to tell me that social media has opened up the gateway and they've opened up the golden algorithm for a person like Casey Anthony to obtain thousands and thousands of subscribers or followers? Now I'm not mad about that. I don't really care about subscribers and numbers. I don't care about that shit. But I'm just comparing and contrast how right is now wrong and wrong is now right. Because we live in the world of the upside down. So people like her, people like that woman, can now have a platform and a voice. A woman that was accused of having something to do with her daughter's demise. She now gets to have a voice. They've given her a platform for thousands of people to listen to her. And I know people on YouTube who make great content and they what is it called? They shadow ban them. And I'm not even talking about myself. Take me out of the equation. I'm talking about the people, some of the people that I watch. They shadow ban them. They blacklist their channels. The YouTube monetization program is based really, if you really want to, let's be honest, the YouTube monetization program is really based upon blackmail. If you don't say what they want you to say, and if you don't say things that are appeasing to certain advertisers, they're not going to let you monetize your channel. They want to literally control you. So they're going to control, and this is across all social media platforms that offer monetization. They want to manipulate your channel. They want to manipulate your words. They don't want you to have raw emotions. They want you to be mechanical. YouTube used to be an authentic website up until around maybe 2010, 2010-ish, 2011-ish. YouTube had a good 5 or 6 years prior to that, where there were people and conversations really being had, even if you didn't like the person. Even if you did not like the person or their views, at least you could hear the other side. You feel what I'm saying? But there were interesting conversations that were happening on YouTube about religion, about sexuality, about, relationships between, different racial groups. Whether you agreed or liked or disliked, it wasn't the point. The point is, those creative conversations were happening. And they had trolls back then too. But trolling back then was, that's an ugly hat. Or, girl, them some ugly curtains you got in the background. But then trolling started to graduate from that to doxing people and trying to destroy people, trying to destroy people's families, trying to destroy people's children. So are we up under the Casey Anthony effect? Is that what we're up under? Because that whole case took place, and I know that rhymed. That whole case with Casey Anthony and Kaylee Anthony, didn't that take place in like the 2010s, 2011, 2010s? And that's when I noticed a shift and a change in YouTube policy and procedure and what they allowed. They killed the rock star, people like me and others who were authentic in what they had to say. They killed people like us just so they could make right wrong and wrong right. And that's what we're vibrating on right now. There are a lot of people, some of whom I subscribe to, and I may not agree with everything that they say. But me personally, this is just me personally, I don't feel as though I have to address every other person's point of view that I don't agree with. If it's not taking food off of my plate, if it's not affecting my life, people can have whatever views they want. But when it starts going into the realm of affecting me or affecting the universe, that's when I have a problem. When you fuck with children, that affects the universe. Because children are supposed to be the next generation of consciousness, of magic, or whatever you want to call it. I have younger people that I talk to behind the scenes, and I'm not talking about children. No, I'm not. I don't talk to anybody's children. I'm talking about young adults in their 20s. Because as someone who is older, like I've always told you, some of the younger people, they want to know, what have you been doing for the past 40 some years? We want information. We want to talk. We want to know what you know. I call them my teachers. Some of the younger people, I call them my teachers. They're testing me to see what I know. I know a lot of stuff. Well, I'm not going to say I know a lot of stuff, but I've had a lot of experiences. I'm not going to say that my experience is better or more than anybody else's because I don't have to have that type of egotistical banter. I don't have to have that. But there are a lot of people who I don't like. But the difference between me and some of the things I've been seeing, just because I don't like a person or care for a person, see, if I don't care for somebody, I stay away from them. I don't bother them. I don't talk to them. I don't have to troll and harass and because I don't agree with a person's point of view. That shows how weak and demented and unhinged this society that we really live the society that we live in. And unfortunately with black people, I hate to say this, but unfortunately with black people, and it's probably in other races too, but again, experiences, black people, when they don't like you, they try to destroy you. They try to attack your character. They will do things to disturb you. See, me, I stay away from people that I don't like. But I've noticed with black people, some black people, not all, of course, I've noticed with black people, when they don't like you, they will try their best to get in your path and in your way to try to distract and try to disrupt your human experience. We all came down here to experience what it's like to be human. We've done it over and over again through the process and the yeah, the process of reincarnation. And the main problem I think in humanity is other people getting involved in another person's free spiritual will and free spiritual journey to come to this place and have an experience as a human being. We understand there's going to be conflicts. We understand there's going to be personality clashes. We get that. But when you are actively trying to destroy a person because you don't understand that person or because you simply don't like that person, we have a problem in the world. This has got to stop. They have flipped the world over to where right is wrong and wrong is right. And nobody's talking about it but very few people. Nobody's talking about it but very few people. People are just, swinging in the wind and going along with the flow, and nobody's asking questions. Nobody's asking questions about anything. There are so many things that have happened that are so wrong. So nobody has questions as to why social media is allowing Casey Anthony to enter into the algorithm, make money after this woman potentially had something to do allegedly with the demise of her daughter. But yet social media shadow bans real, honest, decent content creators. This is not about politics or opinions. Fuck your opinions. This is about human decency. And no, I'm not a saint, but at least what I can do is put myself in another person's shoes and see how my actions may affect them. Let me give you a prime example because y'all know I tell my business because I'm not no fucking, I'm not no saint. I got a business call the other day and I didn't like the content or not the content, the context of the call. It was a misunderstanding. It was a black woman on the other end of the phone who was conducting this business call, and the conversation got a little heated. And she had to tell me, "Sir, please stop raising your voice at me." And I was wrong. I was wrong because she was just doing her job. She said, "Sir, I'm trying to be respectful. Now, do I need to hang up and call back again?" Because I was getting upset. But if you all knew why I was getting upset, you would say, "Oh, it was a." Let me just give you a brief summary of what it was about. An old landlord of mine, from where I just moved from, African guy, He was still trying to collect rent from me illegally. See, some of these landlords, even after you move out, they still try to have some type of connection with you where they're trying to either cipher energy or money from you. And that's what that phone call was about. Because some things came up as fraud. And the conversation just got kind of a little bit, it got a little heated. But she was right. I should not have raised my voice at her. I didn't curse at her. I didn't call her out of her name. But she was only doing her job, trying to find out what was going on. And I was wrong. I was wrong for that. And I put myself in her, the point that I'm making is this. I put myself in her shoes. And I said, well, how would I feel if somebody, if I was doing my job and then, I'm that person raised their voice. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I apologized to her. I made that right with her. And I got that settled. But even that situation with the landlord, you see what I'm saying? That former landlord, that's not my landlord now. See, what it is that I live in a much better place than I used to. And that landlord, he's jealous. He's probably jealous because he probably thought that I was going to be living in that decrepit apartment for the rest of my life. In that mouse infested, roach infested building that I lived in. And I kept my place clean. But it wasn't me. It was the fact that he was a slumlord and he was not even the owner of the building. He was just the manager. But he's third world. He's an African black man. Need I say any more? And I don't give a fuck who that offends. There is a difference in communication and there is a difference in mentality because of the cultures. They're simply different. Okay? He was a very nasty, nasty man, and he had a very, very low, not low, he had an apathy when it came to Black Americans. He did. We're talking about a group of men. He's from Ghana. We're talking about a group of men who have no respect for women at all. But when I step to him, he acts like a little, you know what. But that's because we live in a world where right is being turned into wrong and wrong is being turned into right. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So it's a lot of people I may not like. That man, he never liked me. When he first started, when he first came on, he wasn't even a manager. He was an assistant manager. And he did not like me from the get go. He came in there with an agenda. But what he doesn't understand is this: fucking with somebody like me is going to get him fucking late. And y'all can take that how you want. And I'm not talking about physically late, I'm talking about spiritually late. Because the shit that I have been through that was supposed to destroy me, I'm still here. I ran into somebody in the grocery store. The school nurse who used to be the school nurse at the Rose School that I went to, which was a, I call it a CIA experiment. I ran into her at the grocery store. And I run into her every now and then. I'm going to call her Miss B. Miss B. I ran into Miss B. And I saw her and I said, "How you doing, Miss B?" She gave me a hug and everything. Now, even though she was part of that CIA experiment, let me tell you, see, this is where the spirituality comes in. It's not about me forgiving her for being involved in those nefarious activities. But I saw her a couple of days ago at the grocery store and I gave her a hug or whatever the case may be, and she gave me one too. How am I able to hug someone who was involved in nefarious activities against me? Let me tell you how. Because in her mind, in her mind, if it was a different type of situation, it'd be different. But in her mind, this is my story, so I get to tell it how I want. In her mind, Spirit showed me that in her sick mind, in her diseased, sick mind, she really thought she was doing the right thing by helping these people to create a system of fear, panic, and ultimately chaos in a selected group of children, myself being one of them, separating them from their families, causing mayhem and chaos, making up lies. She really thought in her mind, in her diseased mind, that she was doing the right thing. And Spirit showed me, Seer, that woman is sick. I don't mean sick physically, she's sick mentally. And she doesn't know it. And that's the scary thing. We're seeing that right now in politics. There are some, and I'm not even necessarily talking about I'm not talking about President Trump. I'm talking about across the board. You see the sickness in politics. You see the sickness in entertainment. Let me give you a prime example of what I'm talking about. And then I'll get back to that. Well, no, let me finish this first. So, Spirit said to me, Seer, you went through all of that. That was supposed to destroy you. You lived through, even though you were a child, you lived through the Holocaust of crack. You lived through the AIDS Holocaust where you lost a lot of people. You saw a lot of people that you loved destroyed by these things. Most of my childhood friends that I came up with, that I was close with, they're dead. They're dead. But I'm still here. And that's a testament. And I'm not trying to get religious, but that's a testament. That's a testimony. I'm still here. The things that they set out to destroy you, you got through all of that. I'm still here. That which was supposed to destroy me, I'm still here. So somebody like me is not the person that you want to fuck with. And I'm not talking to anybody out there. I'm saying that in general because I'm not the only one of those types of people. The things that people try to set up and try to set for other people to destroy them, if that person is getting through each and every last one of those things, you better leave that person alone. Just food for thought. Right is now wrong, and wrong is now right. Prime example, Married to Medicine. You have Dr. G and his new wife, Letitia, I'm sorry, aka Sweet Tea. You have Quad, and I love me some Miss Quad. I do. I love me some Miss Quad. Love me some Miss Quad. I'm not a big fan of Dr. G and Sweet Tea, and I like Quad. No, well, I don't know him, but Quad has a new boyfriend named King. To make a long story short, for those who watch, okay, They all went on a couples trip. Quad gets into it with Dr. G. She started it. And I love me some Quad, but she started that shit. Later on, Quad and Dr. G's words spill over to King confronting Dr. G like he wanted to fight him. Dr. G is like, hold up. And I understand Dr. G is what he is. I'm not taking up for his behavior. I'm not doing any of that. But I'm peeling off the fat so we can get to what's clear. See, I like to I like to get to the nitty gritty, the things that people want to, you know, erase or purposely ignore because you may like someone. No, no. Let's have a conversation. I don't even like Dr. G like that because I think he's a narcissist and I think he's abusive. But let's be honest. Quad shouldn't have said anything to him. That's number one. Number two, her boyfriend tried to attack him unprovoked. There was no reason why that situation should have turned physical. And then all of the men who are supposed to be Dr. G's friend, Eugene, Scott, Damon, that new guy whose wife or girlfriend is a psychiatrist in the group, Mimi, I think that's her name, with the exception of Cecil, Curtis, they're all mad at Dr. G because he's like, look, I'm a doctor. I don't have time to be fighting nobody and stuff like that. After a certain age, ain't nobody fighting you. And you would think that, here we go again with black people, that we would mature and grow up mentally. But there are some people who are stuck at being 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. I'm not doing no physical fighting with nobody. I'm not doing no physical fighting with nobody. If I feel as though that my safety is threatened, I'm picking up the phone and I'm dialing 911. If I have to subdue you until they get here, best to believe I'm going to do that, and I'm not using my hands either. So just get that straight. So I understood where Dr. G was coming from, but we have normalized dysfunction. We have normalized violence against each other in the black community, and don't nobody want to talk about that. We've normalized that. He had no right to try to put his hands on Dr. G. But here we go again with right being wrong and wrong being right. Dr. G, no matter how you feel about him, he had a right to feel the way that he did. He had a right to feel the way that he did. I can see him and the dude King getting into it verbally, but that dude tried to attack him. It took at least 8 people to pull King back. And people keep saying that he was defending Quad. He wasn't defending Quad because Quad wasn't in danger. She wasn't in danger. The person that was in danger was Dr. G. But we normalize this type of violent behavior. Quad hasn't even been dating that man that long. And you can tell that that man has issues. So, how long will it be before he starts charging at Quad like that? See, these are the red flags that she's not seeing right now. But the point that I'm making is that everyone in the group wants to make it about, because Dr. G said he was going to call the police. I would call the police too if I feel as though my life is threatened. But everyone wants to victimize the victimizer or the predator. They want to victimize that person or make that person the victim. But in actuality, the real victim of a lot of these emotional, physical, and psychological and spiritual crimes The real victims get vilified, get attacked. But that's because we have normalized this and we've normalized right being wrong and wrong being right. That's why they're trying to exonerate Andrew Tate and his brother. And they're trying to sweep it under the carpet that they have done heinous, disgusting things allegedly with minors. Because people get caught up in the glitz and the glamour and the fancy words. And they ignore, just like they have done with Casey Anthony, they ignore what has been presented about these people. They ignore it because they want to continue to follow something that they believe is a dream, but what you're really chasing is not a dream, you're chasing a nightmare. But that's because right is no longer right, it's wrong, and wrong is no longer wrong, it's right. Anyway, just food for thought. I haven't made a video in a while, and I just wanted to say that. This is the occult view, and that's all I have to say. Just food for thought.